The reason Abraham, as I see it, passes the test is because through the severity, the harshness, incredible, mind-boggling and soul-torturing request to offer his single child with Sarah, his wife, Abraham still knows, still holds that the God he's dealing with, the reality he's dealing with, the ground of being, is that of hope.
Go to our website, which is HebrewLearningCircles.org. Go to Jewish Resources, scroll down to Parsha Videos, and you'll find the source sheet right there.
We're going to take up the very challenging subject of the binding of Isaac that is in Parshat Vayera in Genesis and read on the second day of Rosh Hashana. The verse is verse 1 in chapter 22 in Genesis. Vayehi achar hadvarim ha'ele va'Elohim nisa et Avraham. Sometime afterward, God put Abraham to the test. Vayomer elav Avraham vayomer hineni, saying to him, Avraham. Avraham answered, Hineni, I am here. Why does God test people? I think is the first question that comes up here. Just to say, for those who are not clear, the test that follows is that God asks Avraham to take his son Isaac and to sacrifice him on the mountain of Moriah. And at the last minute, God tells him not to slaughter Isaac, and Isaac is saved. And God says to Isaac, you have proven your faith by being willing to give away your son. Very controversial, very intense, very difficult part for most of us in the Torah. So was God's test for Abraham real? What did Abraham see behind appearances that helped him overcome the test? In other words, helped him both agree to commit the act to begin with, and then in some ways, the sages tell us, Abraham knew that it was not God's real will, and to trust that Isaac would not actually be harmed in this process. Is it possible to hold opposite experiences at once? And that is a notion that comes up as we will delve a little deeper into what is going on. And here's Izhbitzer. Va'Elokim nisait Avraham. He's quoting repeating the quote we just offered, and God tested Abraham. Inyan nisayon shel ha'akedah haya gedol ha'emunah shaya le'Avraham avinu b'Hashem yitbarach. The whole matter of this test of the binding of Isaac was obviously Abraham's great faith or obedience in the Holy One, blessed be. Ki af she'amar lo ko yeh zaracha, even though Avraham said previously to Avraham that this Isaac will be your progeny, and from him the promise of a great nation will come. V'nemar lo et briti akim et Yitzchak, and it was said to him, to Avraham, that I will fulfill my covenant with Yitzchak, covenant that God has established with Abraham. V'achshav shene'emar lo ha'aleu le'olah. And now that God is telling Abraham to offer up Isaac as a sacrifice, after all those previous promises, עם כל זה, האמין בדברים הראשונים, כמו מקודם. Nevertheless, Abraham continued to believe in the first promises, and he did not lose connection or awareness of those early promises of the progeny and etc., right? And the covenant with Isaac. וזאת האמונה אין בשכל האדם להשיג. And this kind of faith that holds two opposites at the same time, equally, it is hard for the human mind to comprehend. והנה, באמת לא היה לאברהם דיבר מפורש. And, in fact, there is no specific instruction in this text, in the narrative that follows, where it says, where God specifically says, slaughter your son. Interesting. The narrative says, offer your son up as a sacrifice, but God never says, slaughter your son. אם כן, על כן לא נאמר, ואדוני ניסה. And that's why it doesn't say that Adonai Yud He Vav He tested Abraham, etc. Rak ve'ha'elokim nisa. The fact that the narrative never specifically says slaughter your son, but uses more a general terminology as of offer up your son, is a proof, according here to the Izhbitzer, or an explanation of why the verse we just read, Elohim nisat Avraham, and Elohim tested Abraham. Why is Elohim tested Abraham? Elohim, one of the many names of God, and not Adonai or Yud He Vav He. And this is another proof, says the Izhbitzer, ve'al ze ne'emar ve'ha'elokim l'shon tkufot. And this is another proof to the fact that the name Elohim is a term of strictness or severity. Or for those of you who are aware of the language of Sefirot, this is a Sephir of Gevura, of Din. The name Elohim holds the harsh, the strict, the boundary, the limited energy of the Godhead. But the name Yud He Vav He, the name Adonai, or the ineffable name of God, what we also call the Tetragrammaton, that name holds the energy of God's loving kindness. So what Izhbitzer is showing us here is, let's pay attention, that the language in the verse is an Elohim, the God of Din, the God of harshness, is testing Abraham. It doesn't say that Yud He Vav He, the God of loving kindness, is testing Abraham. And the Izhbitzer continues, Ki be'emet me'et Adonai haya shelo ishchato. And the truth is that it was Adonai Yud He Vav He, the energy of loving kindness, that Abraham does not slaughter his son. And in fact, the narrative never says, slaughter your son. And the test was just an appearance in the eyes of Abraham, says the Izhbitzer. So in other words, the testing or the request to offer his son up as an offering to God was the appearance of a test administered by Elohim, by the challenging aspect of God. But truly, deeply, ultimately, Adonai which supersedes always, according to the sages, did not want Isaac being slaughtered. I want to offer a little bit of a thought, of a chidush on this. That is, earlier the Izhbitzer told us that the greatness of Abraham's faith was that he could hold both promises together in the same space. The early promise that from Isaac will come progeny that will become the Jewish people, that God will continue the covenant with Isaac. At the same time, he was able to also obey the instruction to offer up Isaac as a sacrifice. And I want to add another piece to this, if I can, humbly attempt the very original promise or covenant between God and Abraham is in Parshat Lech Lecha, which is the very beginning of Abraham's appearance on the scene in the Chumash. And that is in chapter 12 in Genesis, verses 2 and 3. Ve'escha legoy gadol, va'avarechecha, le'agadla shimcha or shemecha, ve'heye bracha. I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you, and I will make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. The next verse, va'avarcha mevarchecha, u'mekalelcha ha'or, v'nivarchu v'cha kol mishpechot ha'adama. I will bless those who bless you, and curse the one who curses you, and all the families of the earth shall bless themselves by you. Very powerful words. Even before God promises progeny from Isaac and continuing the covenant, there's even a more foundational aspect of the covenant, of the relationship between the Holy One, blessed be, and Abraham and Sarah. And that is, what do we learn here? Is that Abraham will be receiving from the nature of God blessing. Abraham will be blessed, and his name will be a blessing, and those who bless him will be blessed, and all the peoples of the earth will be blessed through him. What do we learn about God? What is the nature of the relationship? It is a positive, it's an affirmative, it is a hopeful relationship. There's a vision of hope, there's a vision of blessing. And to Abraham, or the chidush here that I'd like to offer, is that everything that God says to Abraham is a projection, just like everything we say about God is our projection on God, right? We are projecting our own human traits and experiences onto God because this is the best way we have for understanding God and also communicating about the divine experience. A lot of it can't even be put into words, but when we do put into words, we're projecting. But also, it goes the other way around. When God is speaking to Abraham or to others in the Torah, there's a certain projection or certain expression of God's nature that's being bestowed upon in this case, Abraham, or it could be Moses or anybody else that God is dealing with. So what is the nature of God? What is the ground of being that Abraham is discovering and engaging with? That of blessing, that of hope. God is a hopeful God. And the reason Abraham, as I see it, passes the test is because through the severity, the harshness, incredible, mind-boggling and soul-torturing request to offer his single child with Sarah, his wife, Abraham still knows, still holds that the God he's dealing with, the reality he's dealing with, the ground of being is out of hope, is out of blessing. And that this is an unshakable truth. And that's Abraham's greatness. So as we're getting ready for the new year, my blessing, my wish for myself and for you and for all of us and for everybody here in Israel, such a challenging time with the politics and the social upheaval for the entire world, that we take a bit, not a bit, even take all of it. Remember, really come to the place where we can attach our consciousness to the ground of being, of hopefulness, of blessing, of the purpose, the ultimate purpose of life on earth as being that of blessing, being that of positive outcome, of joy, of love, of connection, of peace, and that we can keep holding that. We can keep having a deep faith in the God of hope, even through the hardest ordeals that are here just to test us. May we so be blessed. Wishing you a very good year, Shana Tova and Chatima Tova. Look forward to studying more Torah with you in the new year. Shalom for now.
Today, thank you everybody. Again, click subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything. We really appreciate that. Like to have that extra layer of connection with you. Like and subscribe. Come back.